Hey there friends, it's Jen Pitta with By the Shore Stamping. Welcome into another edition of Teach Me Tuesday. Today I'm going to show you kind of a little stepped up card using the Calls for Celebration stamp set, which is one of the ones that are retiring. I'm actually having my Shore Stampers team meeting on Thursday, and so I needed to get some congratulation cards done for my top sellers this month. Or actually last month. So I wanted to do kind of a little bit of a fancier card for them. So I'll show you what it looks like when it's finished, and then I will show you how I did it. So there you can see, I just added a bit of glitz. There's some silver embossing on it, as well as some of the metallic thread and some rhinestones, some inking, so just a little bit of layering, which is, if you know me, you know that's one of my favorite things to do. So let's go ahead and start with the process. So this is what I did to get this done. So there's a couple of techniques involved. I took my three favorite blues, probably my three favorite colors, period. So I took a variety of our blues, and I'm using Bermuda Bay, Coastal Cabana, and Pool Party from darkest to lightest. And I'm gonna first squeeze the cover of each of these. And I'm going to use my aqua painter, so you'll need an aqua painter for this. So now I just got a whole bunch of ink in the cover, which is what you want. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. These new ink pads work for doing this as well. It's just a little bit trickier, and it does kind of steal some of the ink from your ink pad, so you may want to just drop the ink on the cover instead. So see how it kind of steals ink straight from the cover, from the ink pad, so it will make it a little bit lighter in that section. So you may just want to drop a couple of ink refills right on the cover instead, but I just figured I'd do it this way. I'll re-ink it when I'm done. All right, and then the last one is Pool Party. So I got myself a bunch of little piles of ink there, and I have my aqua painter filled with water, and I'm going to drop some water, a couple of drops in each of them because I want it kind of watery. I'm just going to slide these up out of the way now because I want you to see what I'm doing here. So now I'm taking a piece of our watercolor paper, and I'm starting with the darkest color, and I'm smearing this all around. I want it kind of watery. And I'm going to start at the top here, and I'm just going to do a wash right over the cardstock. And so we'll just, this is why you want it a little bit watery, because you want it to glide over the paper. And what I usually do to make sure it's all evened out, because wherever you start is generally a little bit darker, although this looks pretty good, I usually spin it and then go the opposite direction too. Then once I'm ready to switch, I'm just going to sort of scratch that out a little bit, and I'm going to move to the Coastal Cabana, and I'm going to do the same thing, kind of overlapping that, and I'm going to draw it down. And I want to make sure it's good and wet, so I'm going to add a little bit more water. Do that. And then again, I'm going to turn it around and go the opposite direction too, so I can kind of even out the color. And then I'll do one more time with the lightest color. Make sure this is all out. Grab the Pool Party over here and just fill in this last little section. So you can see, again, that, and again, I'm going to turn it and go from this side down, like that. Okay, there we have our little background. So you can see it's kind of a watercolor wash background, and kind of an ombre, a little bit like an ombre, but I used three different colors instead of the same color. Oops, and my ink pad broke right off here. Whoops, I will fix that after. Let's go ahead and close these other ones. Okay, so what you want to do now is you want to make sure you give this a few minutes to dry, so that it doesn't, you want it just dry so you can be able to do the next step, which I'm going to show you, but I'm actually not going to physically do it in this video just for time purposes. So I took a sponge, one of those stamping sponges, I blotted it in the Versamark ink, and then I literally sponged it on to the paper. And well, it's still wet, so I don't want to do it right now. But so you're just going to take this and you're going to blot it onto the paper, and then you will sprinkle it with your silver embossing powder. And when you do that, it kind of doesn't all over, the powder kind of covers all of it, especially if it's still wet. So what I did is I just took my finger and kind of scrubbed it a little bit, and I just wanted little blobs of the embossing powder. And then I heat set it with my heat tool, and then it looks like this. So when it was first there, it was kind of covering the whole thing, and I literally just took my finger and kind of rubbed it, and then rubbed all the excess off. So it was just kind of little scattered splatters of the Versamark and the powder, and then I heat set it. And once it's heat set, you can see now it's good to go. So we'll continue the process with this one while that other one dries. So you want to make sure you heat set it on the highest setting if you're using the Stampin' Up! Heat tool. And now what I did was I took my crumb cake ink and this other end of this sponge, and I inked the edges of this just to kind of add a little bit more of the depth to it. And just went around this. Like that. Okay. And then I took, the base layer for this piece is 5.5 by 8.5 of the thick Whisper White. This is a pretty thick piece of paper because it's watercolor, so you want to make sure you have a lot of support on that. And then I did have, so this measures 3 3/4 by 5, so this is 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm going to use kind of extra tape on this because, like I said, it's going to be heavy. It's a little warped right now because it was drying, so I'm going to actually really get some good adhesive on here to make sure it will stay put. Normally I would not use that much adhesive, and I'm going to make sure I really seal it down. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing with this layer. Get some really good adhesive on here. And I'm going to attach that to the front like that and make sure it's good and layered. And then I have this is a 1 by 4 inch piece of crushed curry. Crushed curry and Coastal Cabana together are one of my absolute faves. I'm going to do a little slit in the end here and then do corner to center to get my little banner end, and I'll do the same thing on the other side. You could use your triple banner punch as well, or your tailored tag punch. I've just found that I do it faster and straighter by hand, but I know I'm abnormal when it comes to that. And then I'm going to take a little bit of adhesive on the back of this, and I'm going to tape that right in the center. Okay, and I grabbed a little bit of adhesive here, and I'm using my metallic thread. And this can be really hard to work with sometimes, but I just wrap it around my fingers a bunch of times, and then I snip it off, and then I pull it off my fingers, and it comes off in kind of like a little pile of circles, and then I just kind of plop it into that tape, and I just make sure the ends are tucked in like that. And then once I put the other layer on, it will kind of straighten that out and make it look less messy. So then I took this Calls for a Celebration stamp from Calls for a Celebration, which is the name of the stamp set, and I'm using Early Espresso, and I'm gonna stamp this on a stitched oval from the Stitched Shapes Framelits. Not bad. Oh, except it's totally crooked, right? We'll flip it over. Hold on. Let me get it lined up on my grid sheet here. I was not paying attention to the position of the oval. I was paying attention to the position of the stamp, but not that it was centered within the oval. Okay. There we go. That's better. Then I took, again, the crumb cake ink and that sponge, and I inked the edges of this just to kind of soften it a little bit and make it look a little bit more distressed. So while this is, you know, kind of a layered and stepped up little card, it still doesn't take a long time. You can see this goes pretty quickly. I make 5 of them because my top 5 in sales get a special congratulations card each month, along with their little gift if they're in the top 3. And I'm going to use some dimensionals for this. So I'm going to stick dimensionals 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure it's all the way around so it doesn't sag. 2, 3. Okay, pull that off. That's going to go right in the center here, and that will hold this twine in place. And then the last little bit was add some bling. So I'm just going to take a couple of our rhinestones, and I'll scatter those around, preferably on the card, not on your table, but you can decorate your table too if you'd like. And there you have it, all finished. So just kind of a little bit of a stepped up card to recognize my ladies. And I hope you enjoyed that. I love doing layering and grunging. It's just kind of messy but fun and has a really cool look when you're done. All right, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great week. Be sure to subscribe and hit like if you liked this video. And we will catch you next time for Teach Me Tuesday. Have a great week.